Okay.
If I find my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, don't you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, don't you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, don't you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, don't you still amaze me? If I find my way home, yeah. If I find my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, don't you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, don't you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, don't you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, don't you still amaze me? If I find my way home, yeah.
This is the moment for those who.
What we do here is go back.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired now. Oh, hello, everybody. Finally, welcome to the Child of Mecha live stream. I am your host, Tim, the one and only Child of Mecha. And if you hadn't noticed, we're starting 35 minutes late tonight because, well, Streamlabs hates me. I'll tell you. So, basically, this is what happened. Over the long weekend, Streamlabs decided to update. And it didn't seem like it was like a minor update. It seemed like it was a update, right? So, I'm going through and noticed that some of the little notifications down here at the bottom were a little bit weird looking. And just overall general things were just off, right? So I spent the better part of the weekend rebuilding all that you see from scratch, pretty much. I mean, luckily I obviously still had, the graphics files, all that good stuff. But, rebuilding them in Streamlabs is not necessarily an easy task. Or intuitive, for that matter, either, especially sizing-wise. Sizing is important for the layout and everything. So I thought I was all good. Everything matches. Everything's good. And then we go live tonight, and only Twitch is going live. Obviously, for you guys that jumped over from Twitch to YouTube or wherever, you'll see you had noticed that. So I'm going through, I use a service for multicasting called Restream. So I'm going through their web interface and everything looks good. I deleted channels, reinstalled, everything like that. I thought we were good. Nothing on YouTube, nothing on Facebook, just Twitch. So I go into the settings on Restream thinking, why would those reset? Of course they did. Because why not, right? So, here we are, kids. Wednesday, back from a long weekend, which was enjoyable, by the way, I must say. But we're back. Everything's good now, hopefully. We are live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitch. We're ready to rock and roll. So, how are you? I'm fine. Wearing the Chiseled Discipline shirt tonight. Yeah. Love it. And, by the way, right there, hashtag that. Actually, I've seen people start to use Chiseled Discipline. So, it's pretty funny, actually. I feel like my head is getting cut off. You guys see that? I see that. Let's fix that. There we go. Why not? Because it would just add to the rest of the technical difficulties this evening, right? So, let's see who's in the chat, shall we? Jason Cataldo is over there on Facebook. He says, hey, what's poppin'? Technical difficulties. Same shit, different day. Let's see. Blue Flash 1982 is over there on Twitch. He says, howdy, woohoo. Yeah, I wish I could feel that excited right now, man. And all the usual suspects are joining us from YouTube. Gamer Bud, Andrew Young, Ace Schultz, Burkana, Bailey I saw a little bit earlier. Looks like Gamer Bud might have broken his second real grade at this point. So, man, not sure what to say about that. Anyway, let's get on this, shall we? I'm not going to do a book tonight. I was going to, and I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. So let's get the business part out of the way first. We're going to jump right in. We're going to get the building. We're going to maybe do some cool shit. I don't know. Kenneth Sim is there. Tim, did you check out the entries of Japan GBWC? I have seen some of them. They look really quite nice. I like that custom bound dock. It's not necessarily my aesthetic flavor, if you will. I've never liked the bound dock design, but that particular bound dock, I totally respect the craftsmanship of that. It looked quite nice from the one or two pictures that I've seen. So it could look like country fried shit for all I know. But from the one or two pictures that I've seen, it looks pretty damn good. So I'm waiting for, you know, some high-res pictures to come out. Our good friend Ricardo, Silver Maverick on Facebook, Silver Gumpla on Instagram usually has several hundred photos after events and stuff like that. So I'm going to wait for him to drop, you know, his kind of pictures if he's taken some. Hopefully he has. He's usually pretty good about that. So I'll wait for his to come out, and I think I'll have a much more educated opinion of the Japanese entries thus far this year. So, and honestly, I mean, that's just a few of them. So we haven't seen all of them, you know, pretty much. So it is what it is. Anyway, back to business. Okay, so Chisel Discipline, it is not yet available on the Child of Mecha store, but some other cool shirts actually are on the Child of Mecha store. You should go there and find out for yourself. Maybe purchase a 1, 2, a dozen, I don't know. And we've also got some really cool hats. We got some drawstring bags and stuff like that too. Planning some new stuff, some new products to be on there, you know, in the future. Testing things and all of that. So, hey, go hit it up. Order some stuff. That would be awesome. That would mean a lot to me. So, win this model. You can win it in the Gumpla Talk fundraiser / giveaway. It goes to a great cause, alopecia, or the National Alopecia Areata Foundation. And man, we've crossed $1,000 raised, which is really cool. Wasn't 100% sure we could get even to there, but a lot of people in the Gumpla world have donated, and they've been really generous, some of them. So if you have not gone and done that yet, I highly suggest it, because we've got some new prizes coming our way, and here they are. Now, for those of you that don't know what this is, our good friend Win Imong, aka Paint Pusher, did a series of these little busts with, you know, super deformed Gumpla heads on them, right? And so he had a bunch of these 3D printed and resin cast and all that good stuff, and he sent me a couple. This is actually mine, but he is sending 6 our way to give away for the fundraiser / giveaway. So those 6 of these little busts will be added to the prize list, and I'm going to tell you what, these are really, really nice prints. You know, there's a little bit of layering, you know, that you can see in the, you know, in the different layers and stuff, but overall, man, the print is actually beautiful. It looks like an SLA printer, so like a fine resolution resin printer, and you know, it's already got the ball joint on top and everything. He's done all the work basically for you. You just have to pop on a little SD head, and you've got a really cool little bust. And it actually came with a bunch of different metals that you can attach and glue on to this little guy, and you can paint him whatever way you want. But these are really, really, really unique types of things. You know, he did these himself, and man, just super generous from Win. So those are coming our way. He has told me that he is going to be sending them out to me very, very soon. We're going to have 6 of these to give away to 6 lucky donors. So if you want a chance at these, go donate. GoFundMe / Gumpla Talk is the URL for for the fundraiser. So if you want one of these 6, man, go enter. There's going to be a couple goodies thrown in as well. And yeah, so go enter. It's for a good cause. Make yourself feel good. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not gonna review a book tonight. I just don't feel like it after all this technical bullshit that happened this evening. I'm a little salty from it, so I don't want to look at a book. I really don't. The book that we would have looked at, which we'll probably look at on Friday, is this guy right here. I actually just got this in the mail today. It's a pretty good book, right? And so we're going to take a look at that on Friday. I don't want to do it right now, just because I'm very, like, trying to come down from the technical difficulties that we had earlier. So, with that being said, let's just jump right in, shall we? We're going to switch over to 2 camera. Here we go. Ba-boom. And let's get zoomed in here so I can show you kind of what I accomplished over the weekend. We're going to look at this. We're going to pull that over there. And we're going to take a look at the chest in a moment as well. But, so I finished, or I should say I finished mostly the Jesta's head, the modifications and things to it. And I think it came out rather nice. I posted pictures on this, so if you follow on Instagram or Facebook, you've probably seen this in pretty good detail, right? So let's just kind of go over the different parts of this thing, and I'll show you kind of what's been done to this, okay? So let's start with this little pod deal here, and let's get super zoom going here, and we're going to get a really nice looky look here. Yeah, you know, Bailey, I noticed that too. The lighting does seem a tad bit off. Let's bump the ISO up, shall we? There we go. I think that's a little bit better, right? So, let's get my little pointer out here. We're going to show you what we got. All right, so as you can see, replaced the little circular detail in here, right? Did a little, little simple box scribe right there, and rescribed this gap, and actually I brought it all the way around and then terminated it on the inside of the pod here. You guys saw that we replaced the little nozzle, I guess camera or whatever that might be intended to be. We replaced that with a little square thruster nozzle there, and then on the top here just kind of ran some simple strip on there, and then just a little itty-bitty accent strip right there, which gives it a nice little kind of look to it. I really kind of dig that. And then on the back here we did just a little scribe there, just something simple to give it a little bit of pizzazz. And then on the bottom we just kind of finished it off with some simple strapping and strip and plating and stuff here. And then we got a little notch right there on the front. So I think this looks really cool. I really like the minus mold in here. It actually does protrude out a little bit more than the original did. So I really kind of like it that it gives the head some better width, right? So that's the pod, and so let's take a look at the back of the head here real quick. Just some simple box scribes, very, very simplistic, just some horizontal lines along the border here, some horizontal lines going across, couple notches, nothing crazy, nothing, super fancy. And you guys have seen the there we go, the top of the head. I've shown you that here on previous streams before, but there it is again. I think I like it. Looks pretty good. And there's the visor with that tapered box scribe that I showed you how to do with a single piece of Dymo several streams ago. And then on the face here, just added some little strips there on the cheek just to look a little bit more reinforced, right? And then you guys saw that we gave it a chin here. So now, what we got going on here, that is a little bitty magnet, right? And what I did is I replaced that circular detail with this guy right there. And I think that looks just 100 times better. Let me pull this little guy out, and you can see that I've scribed a line all the way around it and given it notches and everything, so it looks kind of a little bit more mechanical, right? So that actually just, I had to widen this up. That slots really nicely in there. And we're going to attach this with a magnet. We're actually going to do that here momentarily. But right now it just kind of blip, 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 floats. So that's what we're going to do. So let's get out of super zoom and 1x, get rid of that ugly box. There we go. Excuse me. All right. So now what we have is we have our first magnet already super glued to the existing peg that was there. We've got a nice hollow minus mold detail that I've actually basically I raised the height on this because if you remember, the minus molds that I put on the ankles right here, these guys, I actually had to cut down by 1 millimeter all the way around. So it left me with these little rings, right? And luckily they were the same size as this big, circular mold, which then I put a minus mold in. So that actually really worked out well. Sanded that down smooth, gave the perfect height. And again, this sticks out a little bit more than the original, which I really like a lot better because it does give a little bit more width, right? So I like this very, very much. So now we just have to attach the corresponding magnet here, which is that little guy right there. So what we're going to do, and this is simple to do, you guys, we're actually going to attach this magnet with that right there. So now there's two of them, right? So I should preface this by saying that before I attached these magnets, I did have to size up the height from the corresponding surface, and it had to match perfectly. This had to be flush with the inner part of the head, and it is at this point. It's perfectly flush. So now that we've got the right height, this magnet will now super glue onto the inside of that surface in this nice deep minus mold. So really, really simple to do. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not much of a magnet guy. I usually like more permanent type of fixtures and solutions. But this just seemed kind of like a no-brainer because I can pull this off and it's easy to put on and everything. So we're going to use Ultra Liquid Control, Mr. Loctite right here. And we're just going to put a little drop here, nothing crazy. Just a little bitty drop, right? Now, this is kind of where it gets a little hinky because you get basically one shot at alignment. So what I want to do is I want to have this minus mold be parallel with this jaw thingy here, right? So we're going to drop this in just so. And let's see, I think that looks dead on, right? What do you guys think? I think it looks good. So we just press that on there. That's going to cure and Hopefully, yeah, that's good and stuck on there right now. So let's pull this jaw antenna deal off here. And now, so there's one magnet, there's the other one. Super simple. And what it's going to do now is it should self-align. No, there's not enough offset. But that's okay, because we can just simply align it with a fingernail. Easy, right? But that's not going anywhere now. So there is the finished Jesta head. I really quite dig it. And then on the body, man, it just looks badass, right? Look at that. That's going to be a keeper once it's done. I'm going to tell you what. Look at that guy. That is a mean-looking robot, ladies and gentlemen. That is one mean-looking sumbitch. All right, so simple modifications, you guys. Simple modifications. So for those of you wondering where I got this, K&J Magnetics, KandJMagnetics.com. I will tell you what, these guys have everything. Every size magnet that you can think of, every strength magnet that you can think of, these dudes have. I've bought several different sizes and powers of magnets from them. These are little 1/8 by 1/32. These are N52s. These are obviously neodymium magnets. N52 is the highest rating, the highest strength rating that you can get from them. So I have some bigger ones here in N52, and then I've also got N42 for, I don't know, these were like original purchases. Since then, I've bought some more N52s just because they hold like crazy. I've put these in the Gundam version Logic that we scratch built maybe a couple years back, right? And Jay Lynch is in the house. Everybody was wondering where Jay was, and he's here now. Welcome, Jay. You enter as a celebrity. Welcome, buddy. You didn't miss much. We haven't done much, to be honest. Simply because I started 35 minutes late, so we're only maybe 25 minutes into the stream. And the first maybe 5 or 10 minutes of that was me ranting about technical difficulties. So you didn't miss much, man. Welcome to the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back, man. Great supporter, Jay. But anyway, guys, so K&J Magnets, if you're in the U.S. or anything, check these guys out. They have seriously every single size that you can think of. These are just small little disc magnets, but you can get different shaped magnets, squares, cubes, cylinders, bars, things of that nature, all sorts of stuff, and some really big sizes too. You're talking like 6, 8-inch wide magnets that have like 20, 30 pounds of pull on them. So yeah, nuts, man, nuts. So yeah, K&J Magnets, highly recommended. Highly recommended. That's where I get all my magnets from. So it is very, very good stuff. So let's see here. Shall we? Who's in the chat? People in the chat. Everybody's in the chat. Here we go. Let's zip it back here. Let's see. Let's keep going. Okay. So Julius Dembski is with us on YouTube. Julius says, I stumbled upon your Jesta build series just as I started my first attempt at scribing. Thanks for the video series. It has been very helpful. How do you fix a scribing area? Area. Really? English is hard, people. Even when you speak it. Error. Scribing error. Great question. Absolutely wonderful question, and I will show you how I fix it. Let's take a look at this piece real quick, shall we? Let's get super zoomed because you really need it because you can't see it otherwise. So, boom! Here we go. Okay. So, this piece had a scribing error on it. As you can maybe see the discoloration right here, this notch ramped on me, and my chisel went sliding right across the piece, and man, it was deep, you guys. It was a deep gash. So this was you couldn't sand that out. There's just no way you could sand that out. So what I did was to take my good old friend Mr. Loctite Super Glue Ultra Liquid Control, found at Lowe's, Home Depot, pretty much anywhere in the US, and just basically fill that in, right? Let it cure, and then you just kind of shave down the excess with a sharp hobby knife, sand it flush, and man, that is smooth as a baby's butt, and that will never come out because it's super glue. It's never going to come out of that scratch. It's just not. So let's get out a super zoom right quick. Come on now. There we go. So yeah. So there, as you can see, I mean, you might be able to see a little discoloration, but man, that is, like I said, just look at the light bouncing off of that. That is super smooth. And that discoloration is basically just because the glue itself is transparent. So real simple. So let's see. Whoop. Go away, box. Damn it. William Wilms is over there on Facebook. He says, I plan on taking some of your head scribe designs and adding them to my master grade Jagan. Very cool, dude. I like that. Like where your head's at. I like where your head's at, buddy. I want to get a Jagan. I do. I don't know. I can't do it right now. I got too many things in the works. Let's see. So, looks like Bailey and Andrew Young both gave wonderful advice to Julius. And Drummer Dude is with us over there on YouTube. It says, looks badass. Thanks, buddy. Let's see. What else? Kenneth Sim, size of the magnet. That was, what, 1/8 by 1/32nd? So, there you go. 1/8 by 1/32. Those little itty-bitty guys. Let's see. Are you going to fill the inside with baby powder? Not really. No. If anything, super glue. Let's see. Billy says, that's really good. Oh, thank you, man. Crow-sama's with us over there on YouTube. Hey, can't stay because I'm at work, but I'll catch the rest tonight. Have a great show. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. And let's see. Yep. Talking magnets, Jay Lynch. He just attached the minus mole detail on the side of the head with a magnet. Gizmo Con Gumpla, Jonathan is there. Been lurking, but once I heard magnets have to heck then out need some magnets on future resin builds. Jonathan, you lost me there in the translation, buddy. I'm sorry, man. Check, not heck. Makes a little bit more sense. Just learned that you can use super glue as well to fill pits and air bubbles from casted parts. Absolutely. If they're not massive, yeah, the super glue is great because you don't have to worry about it coming out of the parts and everything. And then if you happen to if you happen to give it kind of like a once over or like a final bath in like alcohol or something like that, there's no chance of it, you know, deteriorating like, say like Tamiya White or some other solvent-based putty. So that's a plus, a big, big, big plus. Ron Art is over there on Facebook. He says, "Good day, everyone." Good day, Ron. And let's see. Julius Dembski says, "Perfect. Thanks for the detailed response. I have a few scribing errors to fix." Awesome. Well, it's not awesome that you have errors, but it's awesome that you can now fix them. And it's awesome that you're trying scribing. That's very exciting, dude, because it just adds so much, right? It adds so much. Speaking of, let's take a look at the chest, because I've done a few other little bitty things to the chest here. So, let's take a look at this guy. So, with the chest, I've added a couple little things, nothing major. I was originally going to have some box joints here, but I didn't like the look of them. They were just not, they just weren't looking good. So what I did was covered over those with just some plastic strip here cut to size, and it's about a 1/2 millimeter. It's got about a 1/2 millimeter gap all the way around for that space and everything, so it kind of looks plated up, which looks really quite nice. And then I added just a couple of little details on either side of the middle here, which again, you know, these are going to be basically painted red. These two here, those are going to simulate lights on the chest, but these, I think I'm just going to go with the straight armor color on these. Not too much separation, maybe paint them gray or something, I don't know. I'll kind of see when it comes to it, right? And then the last thing I did here was just add a little bit of strip right here underneath of the main cockpit hatch. So let me open this up here and I'll kind of show you what it looks like in better detail. See, there you go. So just a couple strips, a millimeter strip and then a 1/4 millimeter strip just underneath of it. And that fits perfectly right into that gap just underneath of the main cockpit hatch there, right? So it looks quite good in my opinion. So that's part of what I've been doing this long Labor Day weekend here in the States. Let's see what else. So this, I believe, yeah, okay, so this is the original Jesta leg that we detailed several moons ago. And what I've been doing is duplicating all of the details on the other leg. So this takes a while. So it looks like it's matching up pretty much perfectly. All the details are cut to the same dimensions as everything else. That's the outside of the legs. Here are the insides, and this is the armor that goes on to this side. So there you can see the little holes there that are going to be for metal parts, you know, when the build starts to come to a conclusion, obviously. And so yeah, you know, all the little scribes, all the little notches, the little strips and everything like that, perfectly matched, looking quite nice. And I've even started to modify the front, the knee armor here as well. So let's get zoomed in there and let's show you the original here. So a few more things to do here. I've got to add this top strip there. I've got to add the panel lines and then the notches on each side. But the rectangular thruster or vent or whatever we want to call it there is installed and matching up quite nice. And just basically had to clear all that gunk out from behind it. You know, there were some structural details that you really didn't need. Basically, it aligned the front of the knee with this little strip here, which honestly you don't need whatsoever. It's basically pointless to have that there, because once this knee armor is on there, it's got no room to move laterally that way. So easy peasy. So there we go. So that's what I've been doing this weekend, guys, along with updating Streamlabs OBS. So let's check in. What are you guys talking about here? Fudu Baoi is with us. My favorite username in the whole wide world. Popping in. Have a 10-hour shift in the morning. Well, that answered my magnet question. Awesome. Hey, thanks for stopping by. That is very cool. I love your screen name. I really do. So good to say. Gizmo Con Gumpla. Jonathan, missing a piece of plow plate in the left leg on the knee, Tim. Yes, I know, because I'm not done with it yet. So, but good eye. Good eye. Bailey says, didn't get squat done to my Zaku over the weekend. When you have a child 3 years old or under, weekends belong to them. Plus helping family move equals tired every night. Damn, dude. Yeah, they're giving a Gizmo but man, tough one tonight, guys. Tough one tonight. GizmoCon Gumpla Jonathan, he says, never mind, you just mentioned it, and he says, got you back. Drummer Dude, would it be a good idea to put a clear top coat over my kit before panel lining, then after put another top coat over it? Yes. Yes, that is a great idea. That is absolutely a best practice. So for those of you that are just starting out with painting and panel lining, all that fun stuff, yes. So what you want to do, and I have kind of a walkthrough on my Facebook page and on my website. Just hit up childofmecha.com or go to the Facebook page. It's a pinned post on near the top of the feed. It has my complete walkthrough of this. So what you want to do is primer, then paint, get your paint applications done, all your different colors, all that good stuff. And then once you're done with painting, once you're done with the colors, shoot a clear coat, a gloss clear coat. That's important over the model, and then you can panel line. Because what's going to happen is, no matter what you use, if you use Tamiya panel accent liner, or if you use kind of like a homegrown thing, maybe with some enamel and lighter fluid or whatever, that will make that liquid run into those panel lines, and by capillary action, it will just explode all over the panel lines, and it's kind of a very satisfying thing to watch. I don't know about you guys, but it's just like, I love to see it just happen. It just kind of explodes into the rest of the panel lines. I think it's pretty cool. Science-y, right? So once you're done with that, then hit the decals, because gloss coat is needed for water slide decals, because you don't want them to silver. Then once that's done, hit it with your clear coat of choice, matte, flat, another gloss, what have you. That'll make everything look really nice and all one sheen, and it'll protect those decals, panel lines, and then also your paint. So great question. Great question. Let's see. Enamel thinner eats Bandai plastic. Yeah, that's true. That is a very good point. It will make it very brittle, and it will break it if you let it pool. So I would not recommend using enamel thinner. What I would recommend using is Zippo lighter fluid. It's available pretty much anywhere. Drugstores, gas stations, Home Depot, Target, Walmart, grocery stores, all that stuff. Yeah, that's what I personally use, because what happens is it will take off that enamel, and it evaporates super, super quick, like very, very quickly, within like a minute or two, right? It evaporates so quickly that it doesn't affect your clear coat or your paint or anything like that. But it cleans up that enamel panel lining fluid like nobody's business. It's wonderful. I've used that on every single one of my builds, and it's just flawless, right? So that's what I particularly use, Zippo lighter fluid. Andrew Young, are you going to show the painting process with this or nah? I mean, painting's painting, right? I think anybody can do painting. I'll show you the masking process. I think, I don't know, I might have an original way of doing masking. I mean, you guys know I'm pretty decent when it comes to masking. And I've never seen anybody kind of replicate my process when it comes to masking. So I will show you that. Pretty cool, yeah, so. Let's see, what else? Kenneth Sim managed to try out some basic casting using molding clay and epoxy for duplicating hands. It went successfully. Sweet, that's awesome, dude. I want to get, that moldable clay that you put in like boiling water and stuff, because I've seen people do some pretty decent things with that medium, and just like epoxy putty, you just shove that, cram it in the little mold that you make with that moldable plastic and everything. And I've seen some pretty good stuff. I wouldn't do like massive parts or anything with a high amount of detail, but if you have like a unique minus mold, or I don't know, like a plate or a thruster or something like that, that's pretty simple, but you might have ruined the other one or something, I don't know. That seems like a pretty good simple technique to do, because molding the plastic is very quick, and then you put epoxy putty in it, and that's maybe what, 8 hours of your time, which is a lot faster than trying to mold it in silicone and then cast it in resin. So I wanted to give it a shot. That it seems cool to me, and plus it's very economical too. It's much more economical than full-on resin casting. So I want to give it a shot at least. What's $20? Andrew Young says, also, I keep forgetting to ask. I use the Tamiya panel wash. For some reason, lighter fluid isn't cleaning off the excess fully. There's still excess, and it won't clean all of it off. There's some smudging. Okay. Good point. So, wait there. I'll be back. Okay. So, this is what I use when I do, zoom it out. This is what I use when I clean up panel lines. These are these little cosmetic wedges, and I just got these from Target here in the States. And they're just little foam wedges, right? And these work amazingly well to clean off the excess panel lining fluid and stuff like that. And what you want to do is you only want to use the ends, and use this sparingly. So what I do is I take a piece, dip it in lighter fluid, clean that up, right? Do a few more, and then once this is kind of looking junky and dark and everything, I'll cut that piece off, use like a fresh piece. So if I use this corner, I'll switch it over to this corner, and then start doing a few more like that, right? And then once these two corners are looking nasty, then I'll flip it over, use these two corners. And once that's done, I'll just take a hobby knife and just whack off that end, and then just start to work my way down this sponge, right? The smudging is from a dirty sponge or Q-tip or what have you. That's normally what I see and what I've experienced when it comes to smudging like that. Or, and this might be a big one, or your gloss coat is not glossy enough. It needs to be high gloss there, Andrew. since we're answering questions, let's get back to camera one, shall we? Oh, it looks like Facebook is starting to talk to me here. Let's see, real quick. Let's take a look at Facebook and give those guys some love. William Wilm says, thoughts on the perfect grade? No, I don't have really many thoughts on the perfect grade because I don't really dig perfect grades all that much. So it's whatever. I know what it is. I think everybody knows what it is at this point. Whatever. Merritt Philman is with us. What's going on, Merritt? Good dude there. Follow him on the good old Instagram and on YouTube. He makes some pretty damn cool videos, too. He says, I guess the trade-off may be the life of the mold. Yeah, I mean, you know, you might be able to get a pull or two from, you know, that moldable plastic, but, you know, just mold it again, really, right? He says, I need to try to use those. Even the more expensive Q-tips still tend to leave tufts behind. Super annoying. Yeah, I don't use Q-tips at all. Those foam sponges, those, you know, makeup sponges, they don't leave anything. No dust, no residue, no nothing, which is just awesome. Let's see here. Ron, Art, OU Maru, that's the plastic moldable stuff. You can just remelt it after using it, but sometimes you cannot get the finer details using it. Yeah, and that is the drawback. But for simple stuff, I've seen some pretty cool, you know, part pulls from those from that type of system. So, good call there. William Wilm says, would you need to spend more time pressing the piece in the I can't even pronounce that damn shit. The moldable plastic. Would you need to spend more time pressing the piece in the moldable plastic for those details? Yeah, I mean, if you're using like epoxy putty and everything, like I wouldn't just jam a big wad of epoxy putty in there. I would just kind of use like a little skewer or something like that and just kind of slowly fill in those details. And then once you've kind of got those filled in, then just ram the wad of epoxy putty in there and just jam it in there, right? Mayor Philman says, hey man, haha, thanks, getting back into it. Awesome. That's cool, man. Merritt, for you guys that don't know, is very talented. He just rebuilt, he moved and he built up his workshop, and it's looking pretty badass. He's got this, you know, cool pegboard on the back where he just has everything nicely displayed and everything, and I'm so jealous of that because I just kind of have a floating shelf and 3 fucking lights here. So, go take a look at him, Merritt Philbin. Sorry, I'm butchering people's names tonight, and I'm butchering the English language. I apologize, guys. This technical difficulties just got me just right. So, yeah, Merritt Philbin on YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. So check him out. He's a good dude, man. He's a really good dude. Ron Art says, yeah, and be prepared to get burned when molding. Those things need to be hot to be moldable. Yeah, wear some gloves, right? Wear some gloves. So, Merritt says, no problem, man. Appreciate the shout out. Nah, man, appreciate you watching, buddy. Let's switch back over. Let's go back and take a look at our friends here on YouTube and Twitch and see what they're doing. Let's see. Rayra's Wrath. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Gave us a good smile. What's going on there? Thank you for watching. Appreciate that. Drummer Dude says, thank you. You're welcome. Kenneth Sim, now I'm looking forward to Tim's resin casting tutorial. Yeah, I know, right? That'll be fun. That'll be fun. I think that'll be a good one. Oh, for those of you guys, hold on. Stay right there. Don't move. Coming back. For those of you that are in the States, USA Gundam Store finally got them. They got them today. SMS paints from my good friend Scott Taylor down under. And man, Scott is just such a cool dude, man. And these These paints are great, by the way, and you get a lot in these. These are 30 milliliter. English people. English is my first language, if you haven't noticed. So 30 milliliters on those. USA Gundam Store just got them in today. Adam or somebody down there at the warehouse posted a picture of the big, massive box on Instagram. So pretty excited for that. So I owe Scott and Adam a video review of that. I did kind of a pictorial video review of those, but man, these paints are so good. They're already pre-thinned, the whole 9 yards. You just dump them in your airbrush and you go, and their coverage is just amazing. They've got super nice metallics. They've got crazy iridescent colors and pearlescent colors. They've got color shifting paint as well, which just is right. So Adam, I think, said those should be up on the website probably soon, which I would probably say, you know, a few days, maybe next week. So look for these. Well worth your money. Support Scott. Scott's a good dude. All right, so let's see what else. Bailey says, if you have panel lines running through areas where you intend to put water slide decals across, you might want to consider doing the water slides first, then gloss again, then panel line wash. Actually, I disagree. And I'll tell you why. So what I do is this. This is my process. I gloss coat panel line first, right? Get that done. You still have a gloss coat afterwards. That, you know, the Zippo lighter fluid is not going to diminish that. Then I do the decals, right? And if it's going across, if a decal is going across a panel line, I'll lay that down, let it dry, take a very, very, very sharp, brand new blade, and simply just cut along that panel line. And then use some decal softener and let that just sit there and just kind of soften up that decal. And that decal will mold into the panel lines. And then just hit that with a clear coat. Man, you're good to go. That's what I did on the Hummingbird, the Aussie, the Blue Destiny, everything. So, so that's what I do. But good. Bailey, you still got great advice, buddy. On point, as always. So, Jay Lynch, are there any good tutorials for airbrushing? I'm thinking of getting an airbrush to start painting. Gundam Nerd recommended a master airbrush kit from Amazon. Yeah, I mean, whatever you want to start with, I would probably recommend something on the cheaper side. You know, I've seen people get really good results from the master airbrush kits and stuff like that. The compressors are what I would worry about, though, because an airbrush is a pretty simple. It's a pretty simple tool, right? You know, it's just some metal, and you know, not really a ton of moving parts, and you know, it's very hard to produce a bad airbrush just because it's just such an old proven technology. But compressors, on the other hand, a lot more moving parts, a lot more intricacies. Those can go bad quite quickly. So me personally, I would maybe buy an inexpensive airbrush, but then maybe buy kind of a quality entry level compressor. You know, the master airbrush compressors I don't know about. Harbor Freight, I've heard, has some decent, you know, compressors. They're not going to set the world on fire. They're not going to compare to your Iwatas or Badgers or Sparmax or what have you, but at least it's a store that you can physically take it back to and replace it if it blows up on you, right? So those are my 2 cents. But yeah, man, get into it. Just jump into it, and you're going to have a great time airbrushing. I promise. So, Bailey, it adds to the effect of markings going across panel gaps and getting broken up by the panel line. What he was saying before. Gotcha. And Andrew says, you mask literally everything. It's true, I do. I don't hand brush. I don't. I don't at all. Let's see. Gamer Bud, if it is one thing I'm good at with Gunpla is masking. Excellent. Andrew Young, oh yeah, I used Ayumaru to recast the Jesta antenna piece for my GM sniper. Excellent. Let's see. Bailey says to Jay Lynch, I like Model Making Guru on YouTube. Also recommended my GBA mate Flynn Berger. Yeah, Flynn is good, dude. He's very good. What I would also probably say is check out some of those mini painters too. Some of those guys are just insanely talented with an airbrush and little hand brushes and stuff like that, but all across the board. I'm not the best painter in the world. I'll admit that openly. I just, I don't do pre-shading. I don't do post-shading. That's not my style. I just shoot blocks of colors. Sue me, right? But I do make a kick-ass model. I'll tell you that right now. Anyway, let's see what's going on over here on Facebook. Let's check in with these guys. Merritt says, do appreciate pre-thin paints. One reason I like using the all-clad primers. Have to check those out when I get a chance. Do want to place an order soon. Yeah, dude, they're super high-quality paints. William Wimsov's my first airbrush kit was the Master airbrush setup. Both are still running amazingly well, but I do notice the difference between my Iwata and the Master airbrush. Yeah, the Iwatas are just super nice. Bailey says, yes, love cosmetic wedges. Yeah, they're super useful. Jay Lynch, I almost forgot about Vegeta 8259. Yeah. Henry's he's got quite the catalog of videos there as well. True. Gamer Bud, transforming my real grade Banshee Norn for the first time. Send good vibes that I don't break it. Breaking in 3, 2, 1. No. Let's see. Kenneth saying why I'm still using cotton bud. Damn. Yeah, man, don't kill it. Rayra's Wrath asked, how about Scotch Brite sponges? I would probably not go with those. And you're talking about come on over here, you. Talking about kind of these dish sponges, right? So these dish sponges are the foam is made out of cells, basically bubbles in the material, right? The diameter of the cells in these types of sponges are much bigger and much more coarse than the cosmetic sponges. The cosmetic sponges have a much higher density, and they're very fine. So I really wouldn't recommend these for cleaning up panel lines and stuff. I think it'll honestly just end up making a mess more than it's worth, really. So I just go to Target, go to Walmart, or whatever beauty supply or convenience store you may have around you. They're going to usually have those things down the makeup aisle. Bring your sister, your girlfriend, wife, whatever, along with you so you don't look like a weirdo going down that aisle. That's what I do. Thanks, honey. Hey, Schultz, I'm excited for Water Slides stream. Also, sorry, I'm quiet working on a supernova. Hey, man, don't be sorry. Supernovas are worth it. I do like that Heavy Arms supernova. I do. I must admit, I like that. I like the look of that. Ron Art over there on Facebook says those have bigger holes. Yes, the coarseness of the sponges. And Andrew Young says, I heard USA Gundam Store is getting Moto paint soon. Have not tried those. Would want to try those because those look pretty interesting as well. Becky Customizer uses those a lot, and they look pretty nice. So, Alex the Doof Studios is with us. Good morning, Alex. Kenneth Sim from Moto Paints. Try to get your hands on the Chrome Gold. Nice. Andrew Young says my master airbrush kit just broke. Womp womp. Let's see. Wow, you guys are talking up a storm tonight. What's up with that? You won't even hear it. Squee and Ray Charles recommended it, and I can't even stress them enough. What, California Air? Literally my favorite compressor, $92. Interesting. If I never need one again, I will maybe check that out, right? Rara's Wrath, for me, airbrush is definitely a no for now. Used to use spray cans. Now I don't have a place for spraying, and it wouldn't be safe with a kid now in the house. We'll try hand painting. Any tips? Man, I am unfortunately the wrong guy to talk to about hand painting. I haven't done it in like a decade at least, right? The person and the person to go to would be when I'm on Paint Pusher on Facebook. Man, he hand paints everything, and he's a GBWC champion, you guys. The effects that he gets is just mind-blowing. So check him out on Facebook. A. Schultz. So master airbrushes are out of some TCP Global, which hilariously is 40 minutes away from me in Thornton, Colorado. So if my new one breaks, I'll just drive up there and go, hey, this is broke. Convenient. Convenient. All right. Wasn't that good? Okay, so Jalen said, yeah, Andrew Young, I was checking some reviews about it. They said it wasn't that good. I'm still in the search since I wouldn't use it all the time. I have a limited space. Yeah, man, that's tough. That's tough. I like, yeah, if you're just starting out, some people will differ from this opinion, and I appreciate those differences in opinion. But when you're just starting out, I don't think you need a compressor with a tank. That's how I started out. I started out with a single piston compressor with no tank. That little bastard lasted me for probably a good 5 to 6 years. Got it off eBay. It was a cheap Chinese compressor, right? And man, it was just like the little compressor that could. It just kept going and going and going and going, and then one day, gone. So, consider it. It's worth a shot, right? Let's see. Alex the Doof, I don't think you need a crazy expensive airbrush. I've been using my Mr. Color Procon Boy PS289, and it's running reliably. Only 8,000 yen, or $80, roughly US. I'll tell you, that little Iwata Neo is pretty decent too. I got it on Amazon for like 47 bucks. Consider it. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's entry level, mind you. And I just kind of got it as on a whim just to see what the differences are between that and my siphon feed, which I use all the time. I do like a good siphon feed airbrush, which differs from most people in the hobby, but that's okay. Let's see. Bailey, I have no issue with my master compressor. The airbrush broke in 2 weeks expected. I have my Iwatas and my Ammo Air Cobra anyway. Cool. A. Schultz, I have an Iwata airbrush, but master compressor. Okay, cool. Let's see. Air is air. Plus, if the master compressor breaks, TCP will ship another one without asking any questions. Interesting. Not bad. Not bad. Again, the company who makes them has one of their main facilities 40 minutes away. Great. Compressors, air is air. Just buy a good industrial one that's oilless. Just not the loud ones. Not like a pancake compressor they use for like nail guns and stuff. Those things are super loud. You don't want that in your life. Trust me. Rare Wrath, ha ha ha. Yeah, I usually ask my wife to tag along whenever I need some tools and stuff from cosmetic shops. Excellent. Nice. Gamerbud, I did it, and it didn't break, Tim. I glared at you, glared at you the second you did your countdown. Sorry, dude. I thought it was funny. Bailey, as long as the compressor has a tank, it reduces the time the compressor needs to run. This is true. This is true. I'm just kind of saying, you know, I did mine. That's what I started with, right? So, let's see. Andrew Young, I didn't get the California Air with the tank, but it's just so quiet, I'm not even complaining. Rivers Wrath, thank you for your referral. Just got my Supernova Heavy Arms a few days ago. It was released here in the Philippines just this Monday. Grab them ASAP before it runs out. Dude, that does look nice. I love the feet on the Supernova Heavy Arms. Oh, you guys. My boy Ken is here. Kensuke, or Kensuke. Caldwell, 289 for the win. Man, he's over there living the good life in Hawaii right now. Well, I don't know right now. Are you getting like a hurricane over there or something, Ken? But man, he is living the good life, you guys. He's in the Coast Guard. Great modeler, by the way. Very, very skilled. Check him out on Instagram. His Hazabi is really, really nice looking. Kensuke Caldwell. Good dude, man. Good dude. Andrew Young. Wow, wow, wow. Why are you using siphon feet? Because that's what I like. Jay Lynch, so many suggestions. Yeah, man, just, you know, what I would do is probably, you know, just kind of do your homework, because everybody's got an opinion. You know, that's the one thing about this hobby. Everybody's got their own opinion, right? Just like me, you know, I use a siphon feed. I use an Iwata Eclipse siphon feed. That's what I've used for probably 17 years at this point, right? And I love it. You can change colors real quickly. You can break it down and clean it. You can run alcohol through it and clean out Mr. Color paints in like 20 seconds. And just pop in another color, and you're shooting another color in probably less than a minute, right? Which you can't really do all that quickly on a gravity feed. Now, there are pros and cons to both, obviously, but for what I do, it works for me, right? So get what works for you, man. Don't listen to us. Do your research and think about what your needs are, and go from there. It's probably about the most common sense advice I can give you at this point, you know? So, Kensuke, appreciate the kind words. No, dude, no. I appreciate you for watching, brother. And man, enjoy Hawaii, because super jealous. Super jealous. Astria Kai, building anything for GBWC? You know, not really. Not really. You know, I'm just building stuff to build right now. I do have ideas for next year, though. So, yeah, I'm just kind of taking the year off so far. So, good question. Julius Dembski asks, do you use an air filter or air dryer on your compressor? No. Huh. I don't know. No, I just basically all that's on the compressor inline is the water trap, or moisture trap, I should say. So yeah, that's the only thing that you would need a filter for, is just the moisture. So I don't know, moisture trap. Yeah, that's all I use. So I've got a hose coming from the compressor to the moisture trap, and then to the airbrush. So I don't know. All right. So let's see. Time check, 11:44. Cool. We're an hour in or so, right? And we're caught up with the chat, finally. You guys are chatting up a storm tonight. Thank you for that, by the way. Having fun. Always enjoy the chat. Always enjoy the chat. So let's see. What shall we work on next? What I think I want to do is something a bit different. Maybe take a look at these guys here. Let's get back over to 2 camera, shall we? Boom. Shoulders. So let's take a look at the shoulders. I don't know what we're gonna do. Let's see. Where's the other one? All right. So there we go. Oop. So we got 2 shoulders to work with here now, right? So we'll put one. We'll use that one. We'll put this one over to the side. Now, this shoulder is. I like this shoulder. I like the Jesta shoulder quite a lot. It's got some nice kind of panel separations here, and it's got this nice, cool little vent here, and this kind of, I don't know, this kind of outcropping kind of insert thing, and then these circular details on either side. And so obviously I think what I'm going to do for the circular details is probably, you know, put some, maybe put some metal parts in there. Some metallic stuff to make that pop a little bit. We're going to keep that vent. We're going to keep this little protrusion gray piece here. What I really think I want to do is maybe kind of detail right in here. So what we're looking for is kind of right in this area here, and kind of moving up on the shoulder, right? So you've got some nice detail, you've got some nice panel lines, some notches, a little reinforcement strip there. So this area right here usually begs for a little bit of higher detail, right? Some more mechanical looking detail. That's kind of the traditional method, right? So I think that's what we're going to try to accomplish here. So let's get some brainstorming done, shall we? That's too coarse. We don't want that. So we're going to get some sandpaper here. Let's scuff this bad boy up, shall we? Okay, looking good. Now what we're doing, if you've not seen this particular process before, we're just scuffing up the surface here. We're going to give this a nice finish sanding once we're, you know, all done and everything. And basically what we're doing is we're doing this to allow pencil lead to better stick to the surface, right? Because what we're going to do is we're going to draw some of the modifications that we want to do directly on the surface of this piece here. So we just need to scuff these surfaces up so they accept pencil lead a little bit easier, right? So we're just lightly sanding, and again, this is not a high grit. This is a, well, I should say not a low grit. This is a pretty high grit. This is probably, I don't know, this is probably 1,000. Maybe 800 at most. But it is an older piece of sandpaper, so it's kind of lost most of its bite, which is a good thing, because this just kind of scuffs up the surface really well, and that way I can draw directly on the piece and kind of do brainstorming that way. It's just the easiest way to do things for me, rather than sitting down, drawing them out, or, you know, using Photoshop to manipulate an already existing photo or line art, or, you know, stuff like that. This is so much easier, guys. So much easier. Kenneth saying, Andrew Young, heat sink, definitely on the table. Kenneth Sim adding extra add-on armors. Again, on the table, definitely. August Kuhn, Kun, I think. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. But hey, thanks for watching over there on Twitch. What's the highest grit do you recommend to do for later painting? So finished sanding and stuff, that's an excellent question. What I usually go with is 1,500. 1,500 wet sand. That's usually what I go with kind of as my finish, right? because that'll get the surface kind of baby butt smooth and allow you to get some, some really, really nice paint and primer laid down. But if you want maybe something gloss, like if you want to end up with a gloss coat or something like that at the end, maybe you want to bump that up a little higher, maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000 wet sand, because that's important. And so yeah, that's what I would go with. Soravon's over there on Twitch holding down the fort as usual. Thank you, Soravon, for doing that, buddy. I appreciate that. He says, depends on the finish you want. If you're going high gloss, you'll want to go higher than usual. Great minds. Astria Kai says, how did you build your armor? Which armor? I don't know. Usually with plastic. But please specify, Astria Kai, because I want to better be able to answer that question for you. Okay. All right. So now that we've got this area sanded, scuffed up and all this, I want to put this back here on to the model, because what I want to do, it's probably a little bit of laminating, which is adding a layer of plastic onto the piece, right? On your Jesta, maybe talking about adding plot plate detail and strapping. Ah, yeah, okay, maybe. August Kuhn, thank you, thanks. I'll especially keep in mind the wet sanding. Yeah, wet sanding is very important, very important. Helps get a really much more smooth. So Astria Kai on YouTube, if you're talking like the white pieces and stuff, yeah, that's basically a technique called strapping, which is basically just kind of wrapping multiple pieces of plastic around multiple surfaces, right? I do have a tutorial on my website, www.childofmecha.com, that actually explains the strapping process in a lot of detail. But yeah, simply these are just like these white bits are just plastic strip. What I use is this stuff right here by Evergreen scale models. You can usually get these online, or you can get these in your maybe local hobby shop and stuff. If they don't have a rack of Evergreen, maybe they carry Plastruct. That's another name brand. I particularly like Evergreen a lot better because they have just a really simplistic variety of strips and tubes and rods and other extruded shapes. You can actually order directly from their website as well and get like massive packs. These come in these are a 10-strip pack. These are the retail packs. But on their website, you can actually get 50-strip packs. They're bulk packs for kind of a much reduced price per strip. So that's an idea. But yeah, like I said, all the white parts are just plastic strip, plastic sheet. You can go with Tamiya plot plate, their brand name plastic sheets as well. I would recommend the 0.3, the 0.5, and the 1 millimeter for different things as well. And then just, the plastic strips. Use those a lot here, obviously on the leg. Use some plastic strip to create that recessed panel on the front of the leg. This is just a nice wide plastic strip there, and then you can kind of see the rest of the white bits. Those are all just plastic strip and other kind of different shapes there. I got a little half round strip there and some there as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Maybe, I don't know. we'll see, I guess, right? So, let's see. Andrew Young says, all right, this college boy needs to go to bed for his crummy 8 a.m. class. Womp womp. Man, that sucks for you, buddy. Thank you for watching, Andrew. Have a good night. Good luck in your class tomorrow, buddy. All right. So the reason why I wanted the shoulder connected to the piece is because I want to be able to visually kind of see how this might take shape, right? So like I said, I want to do something similar to what I'm doing on the GM Spartan. So I've laminated a bunch of plastic sheet to build up this shoulder piece here, right? And obviously this is still very much a work in progress. I need to trim a bunch of stuff off here. But that's kind of a bit what I had in mind. So whoever said the extra armor, Kenneth Sim, extra add-on armors, good suggestion there, Kenneth. So what I want to do is I want to add maybe some thickness to this area here, right? So what I might do is to kind of go off this line right here and just kind of bring that up this way, right? And then maybe what I'll do is just kind of angle it back and bring it straight up like that to be perpendicular with this angle here, right? And now what I envision is this will be 1 millimeter thick laminated on top of this. So that'll add, you know, some nice width to it, right? M. Nielsen is joining us. The Jesta is coming along nicely, Tim. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. That means a lot. So let's get this kind of drawn in here. And hopefully there you guys can kind of see what that might look like, right? Oh, Astria Kai says, I always wanted to learn strapping and also how to build different armor for like the legs, waist, torso, arms, shoulders, and head. Okay. So yeah, so the strapping technique that I kind of, I don't know, I didn't develop it. I just kind of named it, I guess. I just, you know, gave it a name. Yeah, just check it out, childofmecha.com. You know, you can find the link, obviously, underneath in the description on YouTube. And it's right on there, along with a bunch of other tutorials for you. Check that out. And if you have any questions, hit me up. Let me know. I'll be happy to answer any other questions that you might have. When it comes to totally scratch building other armor, then you're getting into kind of the deep end of the pool, so to speak, right? That's, you know, that's when you kind of get, it's going to be very situational and very unique to whatever vision that you may have or the end product that you want to achieve. So I hate to say it, there's not really a good way to quote unquote teach that. You know, we can teach you techniques about, you know, strapping and layering and laminating and stuff like that. And then basic scratch building, you know, procedures, you know, like building a box or things like that. You know, the easiest thing that I would say, and this is kind of what I always tell people when I put on like a scratch building class, is to envision or draw out, if you have that skill set, what you want to accomplish, the final look of whatever armor or part or whatever it might be. Draw it out or envision it in your head, make it stick in there, and then break it down to the common geometry, right? So everything has geometry, okay? So let's get a good example here. So let's see. Okay, so this is a good example of simple geometry. We're zoomed in. Yep, cool. Okay, so this is the Jesta side skirt with the little grenade racks here, right? So you've got the back here, and what you're looking for are the simplistic shapes. So this obviously comes off. These come out. So right there, you've got tubes, right? Real simple. You can get tubes in a bunch of different shapes, in a bunch of different diameters and stuff like that. You can get rods and stuff like that. So that's all that these are. These are just cylinders. Very, very simplistic shape. Your base shape, your base geometry, right? So you put those off to the side, and then you look at this, and what kind of simple geometry do you have here, right? So you need 3 holes for the different grenades and everything. You've got kind of a box right there. Where's my little pointer? Here it is. You've got a box with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 sides here. You've got kind of a trapezoid here at the bottom with some circular indentations on it. And then you've got this kind of box on top. And what you want to do is just simply build those simplistic shapes, build the geometry. And then once you build the geometry, once you kind of get that idea flowing in your head, then they'll start to come together as a finished piece. What's another great example? Okay, so this is like I said, this is the shoulder that I showed you just a few seconds ago, right? And this here is the line art that I'm working off of for, the GM Spartan. That's on hold, by the way. I'm working on the Jesta, but this is just something else that I'm working on currently. So obviously, this shoulder here has added armor on top. This is the base shoulder that the GM Sniper 2 has, which is this blue part here. So this is nice and thick, built up, armored up, the whole 9. So that's what I had to do with this plastic sheet here. I had to build that up. This is all 1 millimeter thick, so it adds a lot of kind of girth to the shoulder and everything, right? So I look at the shapes and I just kind of start to compare shapes, the simple geometry of this thing. So you have a sheet here that you can just kind of laminate onto this piece and then trim right around the edges to match the edges of the actual original piece, right? So you've got that part. That adds vertical thickness to the piece. Then, once this is trimmed, all the angles are sanded and flush and matched and all of that, which does take time. Then you can kind of go around with kind of a simple strapping technique. These are all individual strips of plastic. So you have a strip here, here on this side, and then on this side. And then down here, you've got this teeny little indent, this little protrusion down here at the bottom, which again is just a thin plastic strip glued up on to this original one to kind of fill out that look. Once this is sanded flush, painted, you'll never know that that was separate. You just won't see it because it'll be nice and smooth, right? So that's kind of the idea. It kind of, hopefully that gives you at least a roadmap to be able to create custom shapes and armor and scratch build things and all that good stuff. So I look at the geometry of things and kind of just go from there. That's about all scratch building really is. And practice makes perfect. Make a box. Make a square box. Believe it or not, a perfect cube, scratch building a perfect cube, is not easy. A lot of us have done that exercise for the Gundam version logic that my good friend Josh Dara created, I think, like a year or two ago. And we all kind of participated in that. And we had a lot of fun. And that was a wonderful exercise in scratch building. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out on the website or Facebook or whatever. I've got a bunch of photos on there, in progress photos and stuff too. But building a perfect cube is a lot harder than it sounds. There are 6 sides for sure, but you need to worry about material thickness. So on one side, you need to have a thinner piece than on some of the other sides. And then on top, what do? Do you have a nice big piece, or do you have a smaller piece that fits inside of those sides? It's just it's geometry and these things that you start to work out in your head. The more you do it, the more comfortable with scratch building you will get. So hopefully that kind of gets the wheels turning, and that gives you at least a good roadmap for scratch building. So great question. Great question. I love that. Let's see. A. Schultz, got the chopper too. If you're going to scratch build and just do it LOL, you're going to fail, but that's how you learn. Yes, and that's a good point too. I've shown, my multiple failures in terms of scratch building before, and we've had a lot of fun with those, and we've had some laughs actually. Kind of going through some of the failures that I've done in terms of scratch building, and that's just going to happen. You're gonna spend a lot of time building something, and then either it just doesn't work or you're not going to like it, and then you just got to start over. That's the part of it. If scratch building was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? So, good call there. Bailey says, "What makes the technique special is what you do with it. Can't necessarily be taught." Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Bailey says, I can tell you from working on my master grade Zaku, it is possible to develop armor and panel detail, but a Federation MS or Gundam type model lends itself better with flat surfaces and straight edges. True. It's easier if you're, just starting out, right? So the thing about curved pieces, and this is a great thing, so thank you for mentioning this, Bailey. This is actually a good point. Heat forming or vacuum forming as well is a wonderful technique if you have not seen it. I highly recommend Googling vacuum forming, especially like DIY vacuum forming, because it's not that hard to kind of DIY yourself, a nice simple solution for vacuum forming. And basically what that does is you heat up a piece of plastic, and then you have a part that you want to shape it to, slam it down on the part, and then there's going to be a vacuum underneath of that, and it'll suck the air out, and it'll form that part, that plastic right to that part, and it'll make kind of a nice lamination, right? It won't be perfect, but it'll look pretty good. So DIY that, and you can get some really cool results. Japanese modelers have been doing that for many years with like soap dishes and stuff. They made a little vacuum form thing out of that, and they just use a home vacuum that's got enough power, right? And they just kind of stick a piece of plastic in a toaster oven, and bada boom, bada bing. I don't recommend doing that to your mom's toaster oven, though. So please don't do that, or your mom is going to come after me, and I don't want that. I don't need moms to come after me, unless your mom's hot, but then that's a different story. But I digress. So yeah, definitely look up DIY vacuum formers. It makes the world of difference with trying to kind of laminate on curves and things of that nature. I've DIY'd my own solution, works great. I don't use it a lot, to be fair. But when I do need it, man, it is a lifesaver. Trust me. Let's see. Gamerbud says, you are going to fail, but you always learn a lesson. That's a damn fine point there, bud. I've failed on painting and seam lines on a few kits, but you just got to strip, sand, and retry. If you fail a few more times, then you have a good kit to do weathering and battle damage on. Fair point. Let's check in with Facebook. What are you guys doing over there? Let's see. Mayor Philbin says, we'll form a nice 1-2-3 punch with large, medium, smaller medium blocky elements on the front of that shoulder there. Yeah, true. Let's see. Let's see. Kenneth Sim says, or you could use epoxy on curved parts, then sculpt it down after it hardens. Yeah, you know what? That actually is another good suggestion there, Kenneth Sim. So speaking of jigs, right? We've used scribing jigs and forming jigs and stuff like that before, right? So one thing that I actually used to do, and you'll see some Japanese modelers still do this, is now let's get back to oh, we are in 2 cameras. Duh. So this is kind of like an angle jig that I kind of made before I had a chopper, right? But this is just a sheet of plastic with a 2mm square rod glued to one side, right? Now, what a lot of people, a lot of Japanese modelers do is they will glue the same thickness of rod, whether it be 2mm, 1mm, what have you, onto a piece. And then they will put like petroleum jelly or chapstick or something like that as a kind of like a release agent. And then what they'll do is they'll get the epoxy putty and mix it up, obviously, and then they'll, kind of smash it down onto this plate here, and then they'll kind of use like a rolling pin almost, like a tube or something, to smooth this out at a constant thickness. This is going to be, it's basically going to ride on these 2 rails that you have on either side, right? And that's going to form that epoxy putty to a consistent thickness. Let that dry for a few hours and get it, a little bit harder, and peel that up, and then you can form it around your curved piece. You have a nice consistent thickness that you can now either shape, cut, or what have you, and it's going to be a much easier process, but more room for error, excuse me, than say vacuum forming. So that's actually, thank you for mentioning that there, Kenneth. Very good point. Very good point. Bailey says, Stacy's mom has got it going on. I agree. I agree. All right, back to it. Let's get back to it, shall we? 12:12. Got a little bit more time to go here. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so let's get back to this thing here, shall we? Let's get back to this. All right, so what I'm thinking is actually build this section up right here, and then build this section up with 1mm plastic, and then also do the same thing on this section right here. So you've got a built-up section here, here, and here, creating a much kind of higher difference, in height. I can't talk tonight, everybody. I just cannot talk. Cannot grasp the English language this evening. Bailey says, yeah, I've been hounding YouTube for Japanese modelers. There's a ton of them. Check out Twitter, too, man. Twitter is like a gold mine for Japanese modelers. It really is. I don't know what their fascination is with Twitter, but, man, it's where all the Japanese modelers are. Trust me. Trust me. So I like the idea of creating thickness here, here, and here. And then what we can do is maybe laminate these sides with a thinner piece, so it's not necessarily as protruded, maybe 1/4 millimeter, maybe 1/2 millimeter, and just kind of wrap that onto the top there, or maybe just kind of go off on one side. I don't know at this point. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I like that idea thus far. So let's take this back off now. Let's kind of think about what we want to do up here. And I do like the idea of heat sinks in this particular area, because you've got to think the shoulder joint for a mobile suit is going to be moving quite a lot, right? That's going to be your number one of your I should say number one, kind of pivot points on a mobile suit, because it's got to, pick up shields, and it's got to, pick up their guns and all that, beam sabers, all that. So that shoulder joint is moving all around at pretty much all times, right? So that's going to create a lot of heat, a lot of friction in that joint, just like the human arm, right? So that's going to require heat dissipation, so it doesn't break down that joint and the hydraulic fluids and oils and things of that nature. So I like the idea of having a heat sink right here, near kind of that shoulder joint, right? So I think that's what